Hello, everyone, and welcome back to an episode with the Daily Ad Brief of More to Advertising. I am Natalie McCauley. I'm your host, and today I am very excited to have Ann Woodford. She is with the Ronald McDonald Charity House out of Omaha, Nebraska. She's the marketing manager there, and nonprofits and marketing go hand in hand. Very important to make sure that our nonprofits are supported with donors and with giving. So welcome to the show. And Ann, I'm really excited to hear from you. What are you doing right now to get donors excited about what it is that your organization does?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. As a nonprofit, so we're a local nonprofit in Omaha, Nebraska. I think there's a variety of ways that we're getting people involved and engaged. And that is, I really believe in having a multi-channel kind of presence. So we have some traditional advertising, such as TV and radio, but we do have some more, I guess, kind of fun engagement or experience-based advertising efforts that we do too with our local sports teams. So we work with the Omaha Beef Arena football team, and we kind of pipe in our family videos to their games, which I think it gives the fan base a different experience. Same with our local Husker baseball team too. It's just something a little bit different that I personally don't see a lot of nonprofits doing here locally. One thing I think that makes us unique here at Ronald McDonald House in Omaha is that we really try to focus on that, like treating people like people first. Because the families that we serve, they're just like everybody else's families. Like everybody, struggles when they have a sick kid or when their cousin's kid is sick, or, so we really try to share the message, but also make it as relatable as possible, because it honestly is. It's authentically relatable.
How do you track, experiential events? That obviously makes so much sense, because when you pull people together and they can really hear about the mission, you can warm their hearts and remind them about the families that you're helping. How do you track return on investment with these events from an advertising standpoint?
I will be totally honest, it's definitely a challenge. There are some of the easier things that we can do depending on the event. Say there's a specific QR code or a specific landing page that we direct them to. Or if it's, let's say we have a specific event coming up, we can kind of track through event attendance or engagement through that specific event. General awareness is a little more challenging, because there's so many different ways to get involved with Ronald McDonald House. You might see 7 ads at some point in time, whether it's social media or on TV. And who knows, in 2 years, you might decide, I'm going to donate my Pop Tabs today. So sometimes it is a little more challenging. However, we try to get as creative as we can and really try to, as a nonprofit, the best thing I can do is show return on an investment, because marketing is not, a lot of nonprofits, I don't think, spend as much as they should or put as much effort into their marketing efforts as they should. And I'm very lucky that my leadership team very much supports our marketing efforts.
For so many nonprofits, I think, getting advertising dollars is difficult, and coming up with a longer term vision and strategy is so difficult, because they're living in the now and what they need right now instead of 1 year to 2 years from now. How do you really think futuristically about what you guys are going to need from a dollar standpoint, from a budget standpoint, and where these future campaigns need to be when there's so much going on? What are your planning tools?
Totally. Yeah. So actually this year is the first year I'm currently creating a 3-year marketing plan. So it's more of a strategic plan that will align with the strategic plan that our board creates for the organization as a whole. Some of those things I think we can plan for, like our signature events that happen every year. But also looking back at like experiences. So if anything like the pandemic were to ever happen again, knowing now that we know how to pivot, and we know what needs to be done, because regardless of what's happening in the world, like illness doesn't stop. So these kids are still sick. They're still dealing with their medical challenges. So I feel like I'm in a unique position where regardless of what's happening around us, I still have to tell the story of these families, because they always will need help.
Right. So 3-year budget planning, is that what you said? That's kind of one of the ways that you're looking futuristically ahead. Do you have a marketing content calendar that you're using on a quarterly basis? How are you figuring out how to tell these stories? And I think that's really important to note, because that is the toughest obstacle so many of our viewers face in marketing, is actually getting user-generated content. It's hard.
Yeah, it's very difficult. And that's something that we totally struggle with too. One part of this plan is a content calendar, because there are certain things, for example, our Meals That Heal volunteer program, that will be a forever thing. That's not ever going away. So that's something I can consistently plan on sharing. Sometimes it's a little more difficult, especially with families with sick kids. Not everybody's ready and willing to share their story. So those are a little more challenging, but when the families are ready to tell those stories, they are they're incredible. So as far as a calendar,
as far as, sorry to interrupt, but any tactics you would give our viewers as far as getting people to share, so that you can make an impact with storytelling?
Totally. I think what we try to do when we're sharing our content is going back to that being relatable. So we really are trying to hit on kind of the fun, the facts, and the feelings, because a very large portion, I think it's about 70% of the population, will respond in some fashion. And we're actually going to be implementing the process communication model. And that's kind of where that comes from. So really just... to be honest, previously our social media presence was all my voice. That's just how I operated, and it worked okay until everybody got on social media very heavily. So now it's kind of just really relying on our full team, which is a very diverse team, and everybody kind of responds differently, and making sure that we have multiple touch points that everybody could relate to. We're really heavy on the relationship building.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for coming on, Anne. It was a pleasure to have you. And if you guys would like to see more episodes from the Daily Ad Brief, you can go to thedailyadbrief.com. I'm Natalie McCauley. Thanks for joining us. And that's a wrap.